of a warming up and then we'll go into bokken works. So just have a bokken nearby. So. Us.
Onegaishimasu.
So welcome this Sunday workshop. We're going to look at Ikkyo, first principle, the first teaching of Aikido. And I also paired it with this idea of ICHI-GO. So this is ICHIGO ICHI-E. This means, this is a really classic Zen phrase. So it means one life, or ICHI-GO means one life or your whole lifetime. And ICHI-E means one chance or one meeting. So it's really comes from the Zen tradition. Actually comes from a military general, but it got filtered into the tea ceremony and it got filtered into the Kyudo tradition. And it's used all the time in, especially in Aikido and martial arts as well. So it's this idea that not only every encounter is unique, that every technique is unique, and that every opportunity is unique. But it means this idea of putting everything into everything you do at that moment in time. So it's really about presence in the dojo. So this is kind of teaching. And there's one really story that comes from Satomi Sensei. He's talking about something Sensei said to him one time, and he said that Ikkyo was a technique for your whole lifetime. So it was something that Sensei said. He said Ikkyo ICHI-GO. So it was basically a teaching to Satomi that he didn't understand anything, and that he needs to keep training to get the technique. So. Yeah, having said that, we will go straight into the bodywork. So we're just going to start with these basic seitai. I think most of you, all of you know them, but we'll just start with the first direction. So the first one is just up, down, vertical. So it's got just that, and just start by really loosening the body up. So the whole body's loose. You want to keep all the joints open. So especially in this case, the knees, the elbows, the shoulders. Just start to really open them out. Keep the breath nice and normal. And just play with different qualities of movement. So obviously you can take this into a jump, or you can just let the body drain down, or you can pulse through it. Just explore little subtle shifts in movement. But the key thing is just to feel the direction, feel the relationship of the body to the ground. And just feel the whole body. Play a little bit with the arms as well, if you like. But don't hold any tension in them, just let them go. That's let's play with the direction. Yeah. Good. There we go. That's it. Great. Okay. And there's one thing really important in terms of the bodywork, especially when we go to Ikkyo, which is a really extended technique out from the body, is the base of the body. So the base for the body is really obvious. It's where the 2 feet meet. You basically, in this case, you form a rectangle, or like a big oblong in the feet. And the center of that base is where you want the body to kind of fall into. Just explore a little bit now as we go front and back. You go into this kind of feel. Feel the body really come out of the base. So obviously the idea in the Ikkyo, if you're looking at it as a technique against or with the other person, is to really draw them outside of the base, so also extend them outside the base. So just explore a little bit here, front and back. And obviously Ikkyo explores this direction in terms of the uke. So we're exploring this direction. All the other techniques like Ringinage, Shihanage, they explore this backwards direction, but in this case, this front one. Just bring in the back as well. Explore the feet also as you go through. So the base of the body. Just feel the body go in and out of balance. Play with different qualities of movement. You can let the arms go with it as well. Just let the body. There. That's it. Good. Yeah, and one thing to explore in this in terms of the Ikkyo, it's a little bit of a going straight into it, but what you want to feel when you go into the Ikkyo is that the person's trapped in the feet so that they can't make this step. And that's just it's a subtle point, but it's a balance, it's a point where the person's taken out of the base and they're basically trapped in the feet. So just feeling this point, as you go forward into it, imagine that point where the body gets stuck. Now the body either falls forward, or in this case, you take a step. In the case of the Ikkyo, what I'm looking to do is trap the person in the feet so they can't take that step. And then at that point where the balance is broken, you're taking them down into the ground. So just explore a little bit when you're here, just that point, and then coming back into balance. So just that point where you feel like that, I need to take a step out of it. And we talk about kazushi, basically leading the person's balance. And you're going to take it away from the base. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing you want to exploit in terms of again, it's going a little bit into it already, but if you look at Shomanuchi or something like this, you want to be taking the body up into this structure. So apart from the Shomanuchi creating a kind of response like this in the person, you want everything to go up in the person. So just explore a little bit now, the feeling of the body. This is also energetic, but it's in terms of postural alignment, especially where the structure is being pulled out of itself. And explore the difference between that and the structure actually sinking into itself. So you've got a clear idea when I can sink the weight. Obviously, with where the technique really won't go anywhere because the alignment's just pulling into the ground, or the body gets drawn out. So that feeling's totally different in terms of the structure than this, where I'm able to really absorb and drain it down. So it's a little bit when we go into Kaishiwaza and this kind of stuff, but just feel, it's also nice to really feel in yourself the difference between the structure being pulled up and out, which is basically being uprooted, or the structure being grounded, dense, heavy. So, yeah, good. So, there we go. Good. Good. And then just take this into this sideways direction, really opening this line of the body. And think about not only opening the rib cage here, so you're opening this direction. Think about also the feet as well. So coming over. And also if you start to bring the arms into it, which you can do like this very simply. This whole side line of the body. There. And for us, this line is really used when we come into rotation work to really stabilize the structure. So the sidelines, right side, left side of the body. Also really later about stabilizing. But again, just feel a little bit, you could get drawn out, really drawn out. Or you can feel that the body's very dense, heavy, and it just pulls out this way. So it's a little bit like shifting the weight. Really, this feeling of the weight sinking, and just play a little bit here with the feet as well. So really sinking into one side and letting the weight settle. Sinking into one side and letting it settle. Sinking in, coming out. So again, it's really a play on balance and the base. So you can totally get drawn out the base, that, or you can have a feeling that you're sinking into it. So that's it. There we go. Great. That's it. Great. Okay, great. And then just go into rotation work. Just start nice and light. You're just feeling the body. It's really where you're moving now from the hips. So really feel the movement's gonna come right from the hips. Keep the arms as loose as possible. Just increase the rotation. Okay. Yeah, good. yeah. Good. Okay, and just explore in this case again, extended away and contained within. So you want eventually to work towards, if you're looking at a kind of functional and very efficient way of moving, you want the body in a way to be like a kind of pole with the arms attached to it, and they're basically going to function by spinning like this. A bit like these Okinawan drums, if you know these. So you've got a central pivot in the body, and the arms can kind of work around it. Now we're doing this kind of rotation works all the time with the Ikkyo movement. And again, if what I don't want to do in these cases is twist the body in any way. So I don't want the shoulders and the arms to be pulling the structure out of the body, or twisting it in a way like this, where my hips and shoulders are basically disaligned. So then you're creating a structural alignment which is not very strong. So get a sense that when you do this work out of the body, you're really in a sense drawing the body out. And it's not that you can't hold these postures or make them efficient. It's just that just make a distinction between the body getting out and twisted and the body being centered, grounded, and sinking in. You've got this feeling like you're screwing into the ground with the central axis of the body. In this case, it's the spine. And in this case, the shoulders very open. So the shoulders really open, and not twisting against the structure in this kind of way. So just let the body drain down. And feel this difference between being out of balance and in balance. Yeah, good. That's it. Yeah, good. Okay, and then the last one is working inside outside. So it's really a combination of all of them. There's a specific thing that what you're working when you go down through the structure, you're working in this case really the pelvis. So you're working in this case to close the body and then open the body. Or you can think about going inside the body and then out. It basically works in a way where you're going to go into a kind of wave through the body. So the feeling is like really let it go through the spine. You're going inside, outside, in, out. And just flow it again. You've got different qualities of movements. You can really kind of flow through it, make it very big. Or you can slightly pulse it. Just pulse it. There. I really feel, especially the hips, the pelvis, everything's mobile. Yeah. You really want to kind of sense of a supple spine. Next one, up and down the spine. Yeah, let's play with it a little bit. Yeah. Okay, good. Nice. Good. Very good. Nice. Great. Okay, good. So these are basically 8 directions. The rotation's an extra one, but you've got up, down, the sides, left, right, front, back, and then this inside, outside. So these are basically in a way to kind of form the body where you get a feeling of the body as a whole, total. And the idea is that you're forming a kind of ball with the body. So you want to feel really 3-dimensional. A lot of the time what we're doing is in the front and it's up. So especially when we come to a technique like Ikkyo, so getting these kind of around really up out of the ground and stretched out, it's really important to remember these directions. So no, in this case, there's really priorities. In the case of the up down, it's the down. So the down's where I'm connecting to the ground. So if I'm getting stuck in the up, I really need to just bring myself back to the presence of the ground and really bring myself back down. So know that whenever you go up, this is always going to be based on a kind of downwards movement. So you never wholly do an upwards movement. It's always going to be based on a relationship between the up and the down. It's the same with the front and back. So we get a lot of the time stuck in the front here and tight into these kind of movements. And again, it's just about bringing a presence into the back of the body so that you can start to kind of balance the body out. Always this kind of in a kind of basic way, the directions are where you fix problems in terms of balance and structure. It's always bringing it back to these 8 directions. So the inside outside one is a kind of culmination where the whole body's working together. So the front, back, the sides and the up down need to be in place. And then the up down, the in out can function. Okay, so we'll look at, there's another way to look at the directions, and especially interesting for Ikkyo, is you've got basically 4 attitudes or 4 positions you can take with the body. So you've got to come in up from the body. This is just a basic movement and it involves really Ikkyo later. And then you've got the hands moving out and away from the body. Yeah, and then the third relationship is down. So the hands coming down. And then the fourth relationship is the hands coming towards the body. So these are kind of relational aspects. So you've got up, you've got out, you've got down, and you've got towards the body. So you've got up, away, down, and towards. Okay? And in this case, we'll just do this really slow and work the breath into it. So as you go up and away, you're going to breathe in nice and deep, the body stretching up. As you go away, and then as you go down, just let the breath down. So you're describing, in this case, a little bit rectangular. So it's going up through the center, out, down, and then in towards the body. Up, out, down, towards. You just want at the moment the breath to kind of be harmonized with the movement. You're going up, away, down, towards. That's it. Good. It's a really simple exercise. Okay, good. Good. Okay, yeah. Good. Okay, the main thing with this, especially relating it back to Ikkyo, I always want the hands to be working via the hips and via the center of the body, So if at any time I'm doing something like this, where the hands are basically doing their own thing, I know that I'm just working this kind of localized movement. Again, for Ikkyo, this really won't work because I'm doing these kind of movements and the body's doing something else or the body's static. Now it's just limited in terms of power. So the thing we're working with Ikkyo is the whole body coming into the movement. So what you want to feel, especially here, there's 2 things you can really feel. You want to feel the ground is really in the fingertips here. So really feel as you come up that this movement here in the fingertips is from the ground. So that relationship up, and really get a sense that the fingertips are an extension of what's happening here. So you want that feeling. As you stretch out, and then the second one here is really feel that the gravity is going to act on the hands, so that the hands get drawn down. There's a one way you can really feel this very easily. Just stick the hands out, and you just let them go. So you really want to feel you've got that relationship and that. So the gravity really is going to act on the hands. So you've got this, it just goes right down. What I don't want to do in any way is hold the joints as you come down and do this kind of thing. Again, I don't want to split the movement of the center from the handwork. So the basic sensation is it's a tricky one to feel, but you can really get an access to it is if I unite the breath work with the handwork. So in a sense, what we're doing is Kokyu work, non-specific, but really get a sense that the ground is in the hands. This up, out, and then down. So it's like drawing the hands down. It's really getting a sense of the center of the body. And really getting access to the sensation that the hands are really acting from the ground. That's it. That's it. Great. Very good. Here we go. That's it. Good. And then just play with this, these four aspects. Now, you make it a little bit more circular. So draw it up as you come in. Up, out, down towards. So the directions start to merge a little bit into each other. But don't lose the sense of extension now. So keep it nice and big. Goes up, nice deep breath in, out, and around. So now you're basically describing a circle. Cutting through the center. Describing a circle. Cutting through the center. Describing a circle. Okay, keep the sense that the hands are really acting from the hips, from the center. Yeah, good. A little bit more circular. So. Okay, good. Yeah, now if we're looking really like this kind of Kokyu exercise, the Kokyu is always in a way going to be based on coiling movements. We call like spirals in a sense, but you want to sense here that the joint system is able to coil through. So just explore here as you come through. All the time the joints are coiling. So it's coming into the hands. The hands especially are going to kind of show a kind of coil, but the point is that the whole structure here, especially down the arms, is constantly coiling. Now, in order for that to happen, I need to do two things. I need to release the joint by not holding it, and I need to open the joint system itself. So I need the joints to be open and free. If I'm holding it with this kind of movement or this kind of feeling, then any kind of coiling won't really happen because it will get blocked, or it'll be really localized, like just in the hand. So I'll coil with the hands, but nothing's actually happening here. So get a sense that, again, from the back and the hips, that motion is actually going to transfer here. And as you go through it, really get a sense now that there's a little bit more feeling in the hands, and you've got a sensation of coiling through this. Coiling through. So the hands are now going to act, again, from the hips, but really now with an expression out. So you've got these kind of coiling movements happening. And we'll explore these a little bit as we go into the Ikkyo. You can think about winding or coiling through the joints. That's it. There we go. That's it. Great.
Right. Oh, breath.
Good. Very good. Okay, good. And then the next aspect in terms of the body work that you can use is this idea of opening and closing. So we look at it when we do this inside-outside movement, but a little bit more exaggerated now. All of you will know this movement, I think. So you've got this swing, which is basically opening and then closing the body down. So you've got to see now that the hips really are the hinge of the body, right from the center. So you've got an opening of the structure and then a drawing in of the structure, which can be translated really into opening movements and closing movements. Opening, closing. So keep the same feeling, the ground is in the hands, but I'm not trying to do the movement with the hands. So let the hips, in this case, really hinge the whole structure. So you've got an opening, closing, opening, closing. And this really clearly relates to sword work and especially to Ikkyo when we're looking at these kind of movements. So opening the structure and drawing it down and closing the structure. So just play with it. This goes up, down. So really opening the joints, closing them down. Opening, closing. And again, the breath work's related. The ups, usually an in-breath, and the outs are released out. just there. Good. Okay, yeah, good. Yeah, good. Okay, especially now as you start to add, this is basically adding momentum into it. What you don't want, or what you want to really feel is if the structure starts to break as you go down. So with all this momentum, and it gets worse when we start to add the sword and all this kind of stuff, you don't want the structure to break into pieces as it goes. So really think of when you're opening, you're closing, and when you're closing, you're opening. So again, the two aspects working together. So you don't want the structure to kind of go into these kind of positions, or these kind of positions. So really feel that when you're opening, you basically want to carry this open down as you go. So the joints are going to close, but you don't want the structure to break into pieces. So really feel all the time the structure's working in one piece. And anything I do which is going to break it is going to really fragment the body. And then my ability to transmit around through the hands is going to be cut off. Just look for this idea. Again, it's about being whole and total, using the whole body. Yeah. There we go. That's it. Great. Good. Okay, so the main purpose of that exercise is to really release the shoulders. So, and in a way that the two gates in this case are the knees, but actually there's three major gates in this case: the knees, the hips is a big hinge, and the shoulders. So you really want, in this case, to really be releasing the shoulders. So that as we start to add structure into the movement, so when we start to kind of come into these movements, that I'm not relying on holding the structure and making the structure rigid, that you've always got a sense of suppleness in the body. So one of the things we mistake a lot, especially in this style, is when we go into positions or we're doing kihon work, is that I'm holding the structure as I go, holding the structure. And you always want a sense of suppleness in the body. So in this case, this is just really a teaching to keep the joint system open. So keep that in mind. We're going to go, it's a very similar exercise based on the same structure. But what you do now is as you go up, rather than just swinging the hands up, really extend them out. So you've got now this movement. And then what you're going to do is drop it down and you're going to close into fist and then come back. So you go here, up, and down into fist. Here, up, down into fist. Here, up, open, and then close. Up, open, close. So obviously the hands start to take focus now, a little bit like when we do Bokken work, but don't allow them to take over the movement and don't allow them to lead the movement. So you don't want the hands leading it. And you don't want this rigidity, either in the expansion or the closing the fist, to transfer up the body. So you don't want to be in these kind of positions. So you really want to be in a strong position, but especially here, the hips, shoulders, everything's open. When they're extended, obviously that's limited because the structure's tightened up, but you've still got a sense of freedom in the joint system. So you come up, big extension, and then down. Up, big extension, down. Up, down. Up, down. Really get a sense of the two directions, really strong. Yeah. Okay, good. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, just watch on the extension again. It's about winding, coiling. So now you're really doing a kind of Kokyu movement. So really feel it as you go up, that the hands opening. And then the focus in this case is the tegatana. So it's the outside of the hand. So what you're going to do in a sense is have the feeling like this really cuts up through the space this way. So you come into this position. What you don't want to feel is that the hand's kind of pushing out This is basically kind of pushing move, which is not wrong. We use that sometimes when we go into pushing work, but get the sensation in this case like a coil movement of the system. Again, it's sword work related. This is the kind of origin of this movement. It's really from the sword work, but get a sense that the hand's going to open, draw up. So the focus is here. And that means the focus goes to the underside of the arm, the elbow, and into the back. So you want the sensation, imagine someone's on top of you like in waza, and you're drawing up with the hips. Now, if I do something like that, it's going to be very tight and I won't really be able to do anything. So it's the sensation of being underneath, and you raise from below. And then as you come down, the drops down. So just get the sensation of really opening out and really feel the hips are underneath that movement. Imagine you're lifting a really heavy ball. So that right up and drop it down. That's it. There we go. Got it. Good. Good. Okay, take a bokken. So we'll look at these again in terms of bokken work. So the really obvious movement we do all the time is the first Suburi. So it's got all the classic components that we use in Ikkyo. So we'll just explore them going straight into it. So just coming into Kamai, right side forward, nice and slow, finding the back and cutting into it this way. So nice and calm, really lengthening the spine, coming in. So now really exploring also the kangi. Coming into a really triangular position with the feet. Really give yourself space at the back and time at the end to feel the body kind of settling down. That's it. Yeah. Good. Okay, good. So something we don't usually talk about a lot, or I don't talk about so much, is the armpit. So in this case, if you look at this as an opening and closing movement, it's really about this whole structure here, really hinging from the shoulder and into the armpit this way. So what you want to feel now is this: you've got this closed position. You're really going to open this whole structure. So these two sides of the body, this really opens up. So this whole structure opens, and then as you come into it, you're closing the structure down. So you're going into a really contained position. So it's not necessarily about the hands extension. It's about what's happening in the body. So you're opening up really clearly and then closing the whole structure down. So feel what happens as you do that. What I don't want to do in this case is like this, and then something like all this kind of stuff. So get a sense that these open and the closing is very clean. So you've got a closed position, open, and then close it in. Open, close. Again, the joint structure needs to be pretty loose. So it's not, if I'm adding tension to this, it's gonna start to screw the whole system up. So allow the structure to be, especially in the hands and the arms, quite light. It's just that last moment you're taking the hands into it, into the focus. Really look at that opening, closing, opening, closing, opening, closing. That's it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. There we go. Nice. Okay, good. Yeah, so Shomanuchi is a really good cut because it's got a very in a way it's a very ideal cut. So you're cutting straight through the center, and you're cutting in a way where the sword's landing horizontally and really straight. So you really want to be a little bit fanatic in this case with the Shomanuchi. It's about the descent and the way it's going to land. So really feel that what you're doing is cutting right through the center of the body. So, and I want to get rid of all those things which are going to disrupt that, which are going to probably come from the left and the right hand, or from the body, from the neck and the head. So just get a sense that as you draw through, you're really drawing through the center of the body. So obviously you apply this to somebody else, but I need to have a baseline in myself where I cut through my own center line. So it's really coming right through the center of the body. And I need to be very strict with it, with myself, because anything I do which is going to disrupt it, or add to it, is always going to break that kind of structure. So I'm looking for a very clean, perfect kind of pure cut through the center line. And Shomanuchi is a really clear example where you've got this structure behind it. So you want to really get the sensation that you're cutting directly through the center line. And the sword's basically always going to be a reflection on what's happening with the rest of the body. So it's not that I'm trying to fix the sword, it's that I'm trying to get the body in one alignment, down one line. So one cut, one alignment, one cut there, one there. And I really want to minimize all these kind of movements which are going to draw me out of the center line. Just take a look at it. And the case with most of you, because you've done this movement a lot, or all of you have done this movement a lot, it's going to be very subtle. So I'm going to kind of have to really be sensitive to these kind of pulling, pushing, extending, reaching a bit too far, coming out of the ground. They're going to be very kind of minimal. So I need to be a bit hypersensitive to what's happening with the body. Yeah. Good. Good. Okay, we go to number 2. So really see this as an extension of what we've been working on number 1. So you're going to now bring the hips back, find the back, and then cutting in. So it's really, you're adding a step to this movement. Again, you've got a big opening movement right above the head, and then closing the structure down. And you're really involving our front back movement. So coming to the back, pressing in. And that ability to ground the movement and really pass it through the center line, it's going to make a huge difference. Back and coming in this way. Give it a try. good. Okay. Okay, good. Yes, you've really got two issues, always these kind of two issues. You've got balance and weight. So the transfer of weight and the balance of the body. Now, if the balance is out, that weight's going to fall through the structure. So if I do something where the body's being pulled and pushed back, the weight's going to get carried forward. I've got no choice about where I place it. So think about really shifting the weight and placing the weight. That needs really a balanced structure. So again, it's going back to the 8 directions. Generally, it's the ones out of place. So if I'm doing something where the front becomes predominant, then the back's really empty. So really think about, as you do it, again, transferring weight through the structure. That needs a really balanced, clear line to the ground. So just take your time, especially these 2 moments when you shift the weight here and when you shift into the cut. And really take your time with it. So don't fall into the movement. Allow the structure to really go in a really balanced way. And then you can choose to place the weight rather than I don't really have a choice. The body gets dragged through the movement. So really give yourself control over your balance and the weight draining through this way. So something really calm, very clear. And again, just check the movement against those 8 directions. And know the priority. So the down's really the priority. In this case, especially the back is the priority. Allow the cut really to come from the back of the body. Yeah, there we go. Good. Nice. Okay, good. So we'll finish just with a really simple cut. It's just one movement, one cut. So you start in the right side here, and you're just going to go forward, in, and cut down. So keeping again to this really clear Shomanuchi movement. You're here, step in, and cut down. Come back. So really clean, clear movement. One thing. So you've done like 1, 2, find the back, step back. Now it's just one thing. So just really allow the body to find the ground and come into it this way. So you're looking now for a really clear, clean movement again. Just one very clean cut. Okay, good. So the main thing to work on here is the ground pathway. So what you've got now is really, from the first Suburi, you've got a very clear movement. It's really on the spot. So the first Suburi is really developing the sense of the ground in the feet. So you've got this, and because I'm not moving the left foot, I can really very clearly focus on it. So the weight's shifting back 100% into that leg, and this leg becomes free and loose. Okay, use the same thing here. So what you're doing is you're taking that into a forward motion. But I need all the weight to be draining into that leg. So really feel now there's a moment when I commit totally into the cut, I sink, the weight sinks all into this leg. So it's draining into it, and what that does is it frees that leg up to go in, because that's the leg I need to free to go in this way. So there's always two ways you can use things, so or more maybe. In this case, you can push out of the ground like this with a kind of jumping step, or you can sink into the ground and go with it this way. Now, if you're looking for an efficient movement where I keep the balance and keep the ground, the second one's really where you want to go to. So really get a sense that you're actually plugged into the ground. So how you take the kamae here is really important. I don't want to be weighted forward in this kamae here. And then I have to shift back and then find the cut this way. But I also don't want to be just stuck in the back leg, something like this, where I'm really kind of loaded back. So you want a presence in the kamae where you're really weighted, balanced in the base. And then again, it's a choice to sink and get in forward this way. So just feel that point. And in this case, it's very quick. So just mix it in with the first suburi. You're always training in this way. In this case, this kind of ground path. So sinking in, coming in. And when you're in this one, sink goes forward. So that movement is what's going to draw me in. And this is especially important when we come next. We're going to go into shomanuchi work this way. This is really clearly related. So how you use the ground to draw into that movement. So just mix in first suburi and this just one cut. Yeah, good. There we go. Nice. There we go. Good.
Back to work.
Okay, yeah. Whenever we do suburi work like this, is kind of repetitious. It can get really easy to get lost in the sense that I'm repeating. One of the things that also really the ICHI-GO ICHI-E really related to the Kyudo tradition is this idea of one shot. So you've just got one chance to do it. So you've got 1 arrow, one shot, one chance. So it's seeing each suburi as a kind of really as a thing in itself. So that as you're doing it again, it's about presence, bringing your presence into the thing that I'm doing right now. And not that I've got 10,000 repetitions in the future. So you've just got one chance to do it. So there needs to be a kind of finality to the cut, which also needs to be present in the technique. We usually do this in terms of Aikido. We're doing 4 repetitions. And you do 4, and you get back up, and then you do to the left side, and then you get up. So we get into these kind of patterns, and they're in a way they're kind of destructive to the training, the energetic and the mental aspect, because I need to think that every technique is a finish, when every cut's a finish. So every one needs to have a quality where it goes like boom into the ground and it's done. So really get a sense now, move around the room a little bit, but get a sense that you come into the kamae and you finish it. So every cut's got this quality of boom, finish. And I need to have that feeling when I do the Ikkyo. Every Ikkyo's got a finish to it. Otherwise, the technique has really no power because the energetic aspect is released, it's going somewhere else. I'm distracted basically. So I'm trying to not be distracted. So martial arts is always a practice of kind of present and not being distracted. So the anti-distraction and training, but just feel that one cut. So do whatever you need to do. Maybe it means taking a break as well. Coming out of it, coming in, and really put everything into it. It's nothing to do with being aggressive or being fast or using lots of strength. It's something you do with the mind. You go like, boom, I just do one thing. Boom, one thing.
Everything. When you do. Yeah. Is that where watching is on?
No, Michael's recording it direct to YouTube. No.
Well,
Hello.
Hey, Ella. All right, I can see.
Yeah, I'm almost there.
Okay, so just moving around the room, take any cut. You can do mixing Yokoman, whatever you want with it. But just get the sense of you're cutting in, changing, cutting in, changing, cutting in, but really keeping this aspect of opening and closing the structure. And really every cut has a real clear finish to it. You can also step in, do what you like with it, but just step and cut. Step and cut. Step and cut. There. So every cut has a real kind of clear finish to it. There we go. Okay, we'll finish that. We'll do a quick break and then we'll go into taijutsu work. So, let's take a quick bow. Domo, arigato. Okay, take a quick break. We'll start in about 3 minutes or so.